guys, this is Claudia here from the Bookkeeping Experts. We are back for more. As promised, more information on QuickBooks Online on our weekly tutorials to help you navigate through your books and have the correct point of reference and be able to take your business to the next level. But right now, it's time to get everything ready to close your books. We're fast approaching the end of the year. We're in December already, and it's now time for you to get everything ready for the end of the year. So what are some of the things that you need to do in order to get your books ready? That's what we're going to talk about today. Okay, so without much further ado, we are going to our simple account in QuickBooks Online. So there it is. Okay, so here is our QuickBooks simple account, and we're going to go into the workflow of us accountants and bookkeepers to get your books ready. And those are the things that you need to get done when you're closing the book. So the first thing you want to think about is to make sure that all your bank transactions are categorized. Okay, so if there's any number here, that means you have to go through the bank and make sure that those transactions are categorized correctly. All right, so the next step is to make sure that there's no uncategorized transactions. So go over those transactions, maybe check number that you were not sure what it was, and research so that you can properly categorize them. One big thing is that a lot of people who come up to me don't put the payees on the vendor or the name of the customers. So I would say, please go back and make sure that you input the name of each of your vendors. There's a lot of reasons why you want to do that, including the fact that if you ever be audited, you will be able to easily track those customers and your specific expenses and give that information to the auditor. Okay, so the next thing to check, if there is an undeposited funds here, if there is any undeposited funds, you want to make sure you check that. And the only thing you want to have on undeposited funds are transactions that have not been deposited yet. If it has been deposited, you want to make sure that you match it to the proper income transaction. We have videos on that. And then you reconcile, make sure that everything is okay and matched correctly. Remember, please remember that undeposited funds will duplicate your income if you leave it out there, and then if on the bank feed you categorize them as sales, because undeposited funds basically are sales that have not been deposited. So you want to make sure you deposit to the right account, and if it is a checking account or a bank account, you want to make sure that you're matching them to the deposits that you have. There's lots of videos of mine on the subject of undeposited funds, because this is one big problem that we find over and over again. And if this is the case, you want to watch one of my undeposited funds videos. Okay, also you want to fix any unapplied cash payment. And what is unapplied payments? Unapplied payments basically happen when either the date of the invoice is after the date of the payment, or the amount of the payment does not match the amount on the invoice. So if the invoice is for less than the amount paid. If it is for more, it's okay, because if the payment is for more, then you're going to have an unapplied cash payment. If the payment is for less than what the invoice is worth, then you're going to have a pending balance so that the client can pay in the future. But the way to fix the problem of unapplied payment, you want to make sure that the date of the invoice is for prior to the payment. You can go into the invoice and easily fix the date. So that's the easiest thing to fix. But if it is the amount, then you want to make sure you go into the invoice and fix the amount on the invoice. So if you receive tips, you want to add tips to the invoice. If you receive extra payment for extra service, you want to update that invoice so that the amount will match the payment. Okay. Now, the next thing to check for is check for personal transactions. Make sure that when you look through your profit and loss and balance sheet, there is no personal transaction categorized as business expense. The next thing to do is to review all your loan payments and make sure that you properly categorize them as, if it is a loan, you should have a portion of the payment that will go to principal and a portion of the payment that will go to interest expense. You want to split that payment so that it can be applied to both the principal and the interest expense. If you're just categorizing it as a loan and you're not accounting for interest, one, you're missing out on your interest expense deduction for your tax deduction. Two, you're recording too much payment into the principal, so your principal is not correct in QuickBooks. You want to make sure you fix that. All right, so you also want to make sure that at this point you record any cash transaction. So if you had a cash transaction, including transactions paid with funds outside QuickBooks, such as your personal bank account or personal credit card, you want to make sure you add those transactions into QuickBooks. You can go ahead and add the transactions or the expense by clicking on the plus new expense, and you don't want to send it to your checking account. If those transactions are paid with cash, you want to record it as cash. Okay. If not, you can record as cash and then you can make a deposit into the cash account as owner's investment. All right, so first, go over this first page. So go over all the details, make sure everything is categorized, fix all uncategorized transaction, add payees to all your transactions, to all your vendors, fix your undeposited funds if there is any undeposited funds that have not been matched, fix your unapplied payment, check for personal transaction, review loan payment, and record cash transaction. What next? We're going to go to the next page, and that is about reconciling all the transaction. You want to make sure after you categorize everything, you want to reconcile all your credit card and your bank accounts first. And if you have third-party apps, you want to reconcile those as well, such as app integrations such as Shopify and Square. If you have a clearance account, you want to reconcile those clearance account as well. So we have a video on how we reconcile those accounts. Check it out. You will need to get the information, the statements from Shopify if it is Shopify, or from Square if it is from Square. From Square, you want to make sure you reconcile the sales. Make sure that all transactions are accounted for. For Shopify, you want to make sure that all the transactions are accounted for. The amount on Shopify is matching whatever amount should be in Shopify. Usually there is, at the end of the month, there's always like an amount that clear on the following month. That's what your balance should be. Okay. If you have asset accounts or liabilities you want to reconcile, we talk about that. All your loans, all the mortgage, everything needs to be reconciled according to your statements. If you receive yearly statement, take a look at the yearly statement. And if you have not recorded the interest before, if you put everything into the loan instead of breaking up in interest versus principal, you can just record the interest. So if it is a liability account, you want to make sure you add the interest. If you have not split the transaction between principal and interest, you want to add your interest expense at the end of the year, and you're going to debit that, and you're going to credit the liability account. So if you have a car loan, you're going to credit that car loan. So you're going to increase the principal on that car loan because, of course, interest is not paying the principal, is just an expense. All right, so make sure you reconcile all those accounts, including your payroll. Make sure that everything is okay. Now, If you already reconcile and you want to make sure that everything is reconciled correctly, especially with the bank accounts, you want to go to your chart of accounts and you want to view register. Let me take a look at this one. View register. And you want to verify if there is any transaction that have not been reconciled after the date that is reconciled here. So this date should have been December 31, 2023, let's suppose, or 2024 in this case, because we're in 2024 now. But I will make sure that after reconciling everything, that nothing was left unreconciled, okay? And so I'm gonna click on the funnel, the arrow down next to the funnel. I don't put any date from, but I'm gonna put the date to, and the date to will be the last day that I reconcile right here, okay? And then you're gonna click on this arrow next to reconcile status, and I'm looking for transactions that have not been reconciled, even though I reconcile up to January 31st. So if there is any transaction here, which is not the case, I have no transaction, means that I reconcile after every single item. So we're good to go. You want to make sure that the ending balance in December matches whatever it is on your statement. If you have pending transaction, okay, your balance is going to be off by the amount of the transactions that hasn't cleared. And if that's the case, if you add up those numbers and they match the statement, you add whatever checks pending or subtract any money paid, then you will get to the right amount on the account, and then you're good to go. But make sure, like I said, that everything is properly reconciled and you don't have any transactions pending on the bank account. Another way to verify if your reconciliation and if your bank accounts and your credit card accounts are correct is to go to the bank transactions. So click on transactions, bank transaction, and compare the balance in the bank versus what's in QuickBooks. Keep in mind, this is all simple, so it's all out of whack. But in reality, if this was a proper book, categorize and reconcile, my balance with QuickBooks and my balance with the bank or credit card should be the same if there is no transactions pending to be categorized. If there is transactions still sitting here, yeah, it's going to be off by that amount. But if there's none, then you know that these two numbers should be the same. Okay. All right. So what next? After we reconcile everything, we're going to go back to my books review. After reconciling everything, including the loan account, and reconcile the reports, the reconciliation reports, you're going to take a look at the invoices and make sure that you don't have an open invoice here that should have been marked as paid and it was not marked as paid and did not get matched. If there's transactions there, you want to fix it. I have a video on how to fix that. So basically, you're going to record a payment to those transactions, send it to undeposited funds, go into the bank feed, and go into the deposit, click on the deposit, and match those transactions into that sale transaction. So we have a video on that. I'm going to put a link on that. But you want to make sure that all your invoices are properly matched here. If there's invoice for prior years that have never been matched, but the money or the income has already been recorded, you can delete those invoices or void it. But better than deleting it, so that you can have some kind of record, is to void it. At the end of the day, you want to have only the invoices that are meant to be open. Okay, same thing with accounts payable. If you have any bills here that is open and you already paid that bill, it's okay to void that. It's really okay to void it because that expense is already being recorded and you don't want it here because it's duplicating, especially if you're in accrual basis, it's duplicating your income and is also duplicating your expenses here. All right. Last thing that you need to do is to review your balance sheet and your profit and loss and make sure that everything is correct. What kind of errors am I looking for in the profit and loss? I can click on review the profit and loss right here. And when I'm looking at the profit and loss, I'm looking for negative amounts in the income and making sure that this income is matching whatever I'm supposed to have for sales. If you see that it seems a little inflated, it might as well be inflated and you want to fix that. Places for you to look is your undeposited funds and also your cash account, or if there is any other account that is in your QuickBooks that is not linked but is there to record transaction. You want to see if there is any hidden income on those accounts. Okay. Finally, verify. Keep looking for negative amounts such as interest paid is negative here. Is obviously an error. There's no negative interest paid. What it means here is that this should have been income. All right. Maybe if it is a refund that belonged to an expense that was charged on the prior year, yes, but that's very rare. For most part, there should be no negative amount on the expenses over here. And on the income, if you have refunds, yes, that's going to be refunds or discount, that's going to be negative. But other than that, no negative amount here. Okay. And of course, you want to take a look at the final number and see if this seems to be okay. I always compare my income, not the net income, but this income to a third party if I have any. Like if I have Shopify, Square, I want to make sure that those numbers match to whatever report I have from either Square, Shopify, Amazon, or whatever third party services you use. Okay, back to report list. The next report for you to check is going to be your balance sheet. In the balance sheet, you want to look for especially negative assets. Negative assets means that there is an error over there somewhere. Okay, especially on the bank accounts. If you have a negative amount on the bank account, most likely you have duplicated expenses. And if your account doesn't seem to be matching what is on the bank, unless there's transactions that didn't clear until the following accounting period, most likely you may have duplicated income. You want to make sure you take a look at those reconciliation. Okay, as far as liability, we talk about the liability. We don't want any negative net liability. A negative liability means that you overpaid your liability, or maybe you didn't record your interest expense, or you didn't record your principal, the amount that you borrow in the first place. Okay, take a look at the accounts receivable. Make sure that accounts receivable is not negative and the amount there represents the number of accounts receivable pending on your account or open on your account. Okay, payments to deposits, the same thing as undeposited funds. This amount should be zero unless there are transactions that have not been deposited until the following accounting period. And in this case, yes, there will be a little balance, but no more than that. If there is a lot of undeposited funds, the way for you to find is the plus new, click on bank deposit, and all undeposited funds will be sitting over there. Those are transactions waiting for you to record the deposit. Now, if these are for transactions that have already been accounted for, you can fix that. I have that video that I will put a link down below, okay? Yum, 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 yum. Okay, what else? You want to also reconcile, if you have payroll, you want to reconcile your payroll accounts here. Usually you only have payroll accrual if you have QuickBooks payroll, or if you have a payroll services where you have like IRA, accounts payable, or employee benefits that is payable. It means that you deduct from the employee's paycheck and then you have to pay in their behalf. You want to make sure you reconcile all of them. See this negative short-term business loan? This is a negative liability account. Means that I can click on here and it's going to open up all transactions. There is a beginning balance. I can change the date here. What it means is that whatever happened here, it happened prior to the current month or the last month, and it's still prior to that, so I can actually go into the chart of account and look for that specific loan and verify if I didn't record the interest expense or if I didn't add the principal on that loan. Okay, so reconcile your payroll. As I said, reconcile all your liability accounts and your asset accounts. Your asset would be all your bank accounts and maybe even assets that you have on the books that have been depreciated, and sometimes it's out of the books and you want to make sure you remove them from the books. Okay? All right. So finally, you want to take a look at your equity account. Take a look at your owner's draw and make sure that there is no business expense sitting on owner's draw. Because if it is sitting on owner's draw, what it means is that that is not being expensed. It's counted as your draw. You want to fix that prior to sending your book. Other things that you want to take a look at is the opening balance. Opening balance usually is in here because you either linked a credit card or you closed an account that had a balance in it. So you have opening balance equity, and a lot of times those are errors. You want to keep that opening balance as 0 at the end of each term. Okay, verify if the owner's investment, if there is anything there that should have been income instead of owner's investment. Okay, and you want to fix that. All right, so don't worry about retained earnings, because retained earnings is actually the balance of all the income that you had made over the years, all the net income that you made over the years that is accumulated in your business. Okay, all right, that would be it. Okay, that's the main thing, is just to check all those, and at the end of the year you should be ready to go. So as long as you follow those instructions, you want to verify everything is correct, you would be good to go in giving your books to your accountant. Let me go back here. All right, I'm back. I am back. Okay. All right. So hopefully this video was useful to you. So if you are getting to the end of the year a little bit overwhelmed, you need some extra help, yes, you can reach out to us. You can hire us to do some catch-up work or to review your books, make sure that everything is correct. If you need ongoing bookkeeping because you are tired of working on your books when you should be working on your business, yes, you can talk to us. You can hire us to do your books as well. Now, if you like this content, keep in mind, this content is coming to you free of charge, but not free of effort. We put a lot of effort, a lot of work into those videos because we want to share with you all the knowledge we have gained over the years to make your life easier. But the only thing we ask is something completely simple, is just to give us a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel. Please subscribe. Only a small portion of our viewers are subscribed to our channel, and we promise that if you subscribe to our channel, we're going to continue bringing very good content that will help you understand your QuickBooks Online and make your life easier, and of course help with your business, because as you know that your financials are correct, you will be able to make the right decisions to grow your business, to take it to the next level. There is absolutely no way you can take your business to the next level without knowing your point of reference. And your point of reference is your financials. And those financials need to be correct so you can have the correct point of reference. Not only have your point of reference, but make sure that this is the right point of reference. Okay. And then at the end, of course, you're ready to give your books to your accountant, and you're ready to pay the right amount of taxes, not more nor less, but the right amount of taxes, and be able to continue contributing and helping this beautiful country of ours grow. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you next time. And until next time, keep on smiling.